Hi everyone, I'm Eve. Welcome to the fifth episode of Watch Fam Chats, where I interview friends in the Watch Instagram community. For today's guest, I have Miguel from SoCal Watch Reviews. I had the privilege of being a guest in his podcast one time to talk about Seikos, and I had a great time. So, without further ado, here's Miguel. Hi Miguel, thank you so much for doing this with me. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Sure, my name is Miguel. I live in Southern California. I have a YouTube channel by the name of SoCal Watch Reviews, an Instagram account by the same name, and a weekly podcast that I record with P. Ross. And I also run a Spanish YouTube channel by the name of Relojeando. And I've been collecting watches for about 6 years, and I love anything and everything watches, especially the community. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Can you tell us about your watch origin story? What got you started in watches?
So I've liked watches since I was a little kid. I remember having my first calculator watch, a Casio Databank, when I was, I believe, 8 years old. And from there, watches were always kind of a part of my life, but I didn't wear watches. About 6 years ago, when my wife was pregnant, I wanted to get a new watch. So I went on YouTube, found TGB, and learned everything about Seikos. And my first watch was a Seiko SKX, and it was downhill from there.
Since you already have a YouTube channel, what made you decide to start a podcast?
I started my YouTube channel first, but quickly realized that I couldn't make videos longer than, 10 minutes without boring people. So I figured I'd start a podcast. That way I had the opportunity to talk about watches for over an hour and invite guests. And yeah, 64 episodes in, and here we go. SoCal Watch Reviews podcast has become a thing, and people love it. And we plan on keeping it going for as long as we can.
Among the watches in your collection, which one is your favorite and what's the story behind it?
So one of the very special watches in my collection is a vintage Bulova Accutron railroad approved that my dad gave me. We actually met at a restaurant, and we don't have a great relationship, but he took it off his wrist. He knew I was a watch lover, and I was just checking it out, and he told me to keep it, and he's like, you know what, just keep it. I know you love them, and this has been with me since the 70s, so take care of it. So yeah, it's a very special watch that I look forward to giving and passing down to my son.
If money were no object, what is your grail watch?
I know this is going to sound cliche, but honestly, the Rolex Submariner is just a classic. I've loved this since I was a child, and it has nothing to do with the Rolex name. It's just the aesthetic of the watch. So I think if money was no object, I will take any reference, really. Rolex Submariner. It doesn't matter if it's a vintage piece or a modern piece, but I would prefer a piece from the 80s, more specifically 1983. So it could be a birth year watch.
What's the biggest lesson that you've learned in your watch journey?
Yeah, the biggest lesson is to buy what you like and what you love. Don't buy watches because you see somebody on YouTube, then they influence you to buy it or say it's a good watch, or to impress others, right? Those are the biggest downfalls that I see time and time again from collectors. That's a sure way to get rid of a watch. You get it in your collection, you don't connect with it, and next thing you know, you end up selling it. So buy what you like. It doesn't matter if it's a $5 watch or a $50,000 watch.
Aside from watches, how do you like to spend your free time?
So yeah, aside from watches, the number one thing I like to do is spend time with my family, my wife, my son. That's always number one. But aside from that, I've been getting into videography and photography thanks to YouTube and Instagram, and I'm really enjoying that aspect of artistry because I've been drawing graffiti for over 20 years, but I haven't really drawn a lot lately. So being behind the camera lets me be artistic in a different way.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this with me, Miguel.
Eve, thank you so much for having me on. It really is an honor for me to be on your channel and collaborating with you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. That was a ton of fun. And we need more women in the industry. Please keep doing what you're doing. Don't give it up. We need you. And best of luck to you. And to everybody watching this, thank you so much. Again, this is Miguel from SoCal Watch Reviews. And stay humble, my friends.